Well, hello, this is Mr. Boyer, and it's really early in the morning here, but let me do some math problems for you, because that's better in the morning than, like, eating cereal. Not really. Okay, so, anyhow, what we're going to do here is we're going to do some more practice solving literal equations. So, the first example that I have for you, I'm going to solve this for y. So, to solve for y, I have to get rid of the 3x, so I will subtract 3x from both sides and cancel that, and I will bring down the negative 4y, and then here I have negative 3x plus 12, and then I will divide everything by negative 4. Okay, and you can either do it with one big giant line here and then split it up, or you can just immediately split it up like I'm about to do now. So I divided the whole thing by 4. On the left hand side I get y, and on the right hand side I have negative 3x over negative 4 plus 12 over negative 4. Okay, and the negatives cancel, and this negative can just come out in front. Anytime you have one negative, either in the numerator or in the denominator, you can move it out in front. So when I do that, I get y equals 3x over 4, and then I put the negative out in front, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that is my answer. And by the way, when we get to chapter 6, I believe, we're going to be doing this a lot, solving for y, and this is actually called slope-intercept form, okay? Okay, so the next example I'm going to do for you is 2x plus 5y equals 10, and I'm supposed to solve for y again, and then find the value of y when x equals each of those numbers. Now, I mean, I could plug x in right now and solve for y 3 times, but actually I think it works out better to get y by itself first, like we did in the last problem. So here I am going to subtract 2x from both sides, and I get 5y equals negative 2x plus 10, and then I will divide by 5 on both sides. And remember, I get y equal to what? Well, the shortcut that I could have done, which you don't have to, but now it's time to do it anyhow, I'm going to split these up into 2 separate fractions, okay? It's kind of like the distributive property for fractions. And some of you could have just immediately jumped right to this step and said, well, I'm just going to draw a line under each one and put a 5 under each one right away. It's up to you. And then after that, I will now write y equals negative 2/5 x plus 5. Okay? So there is my answer, and it says find x when x is negative 2, 0, and 4. I'm going to come over here and do that. For the first one, I'll do it by hand. So I just rewrite this equation for y that I just found, and I plug in a negative 2, and I multiply this out. So negative 2 times negative 2, I'm going to write it as negative 2 over 1. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So I get y equals 4 over 5 plus 5. And you can use your calculator to do this if you want. Or you could find a common denominator here, write 5 over 1 and find a common denominator. If I just use my calculator for that, because we've already practiced doing fractions and everybody is an expert at that now, so they don't need to do it anymore, we get 4/5, I shouldn't say that, plus 5 equals 29/5. Okay? Now, let me show you how to use the table feature one more time, okay? So, I hit the table button, and I hit clear, and this is going to allow me to do all the numbers at once. And then I type in what I had, so I had y equals what? Well, it was going to be fraction button, and then 2/5 x plus 5, Oh, actually, I take that back. It was negative 2/5 x, wasn't it? So let me put a little minus sign in front. And notice the subtraction sign and the negative sign for the calculator are different. Okay, so just to show you what I had again. Whoops. Okay, so that's what I had. And then I hit enter. And you can start anywhere you want. And then step tells you how much distance will be between each number. So, you know, here I could start at -2 and go by 2's if I want. That would hit all the numbers. Or if I just go down to ask and highlight ask, then I can type in any number that I want. So if I do that, I get a table here, and I already had some numbers there, but I'll just type over them. So -2 gave me 29/5, like I said. Oh, 0 was already there. 0 gave me 5. So my answers here would be 29/5 we already had, and then the next answer would be 0, and then the last answer would be what? Well, I scroll down, I'm going to type in a 4, and I get 17/5. And just remember one thing, if you don't like decimals, scroll over, or if you don't like fractions, scroll over the fraction and hit the double arrow button, and it changes it to a decimal. Okay, so hopefully you found that helpful. Let's do one more like that. We're going to solve for n. Now, just because you're solving for n, you still do it in exactly the same way. So I'm going to get rid of this term that doesn't have the n in it, and since it's a positive term, I'm going to subtract 2m from both sides. And I get 3n equals 15 minus 2m, or you could put the 2m in front, it doesn't matter. Like I did here, I put the 3x in front, so either one, as long as you keep the negative in front of the 2m. And then I divide by 3, and I'm going to use the shortcut this time and just divide all three things by 3, so I get n by itself. And here I get 5 minus 2/3 m. And like I said, the other way you could have done it, if you would have put the 2m first, you would have had n equals negative 2/3 m plus 5. So either of those is fine as long as the negative stays in front of the 2/3. So hopefully you found that helpful, and I will talk to you again soon.